Hey everyone, it's Justin here, Voices for Voices. Thank you so much for joining us on another episode of our show. We are over the milestone of 300 episodes, this being episode number 304. So we are uh, moving right along, and thank you for being with us. If this is your first show, or have you been with us from the beginning? We're grateful to have you here. If you can give us a thumbs up, like, follow, share, subscribe, we would greatly appreciate that. Those are all free things to do, and it greatly help us in our mission towards the goal of helping 3 billion people over the course of my lifetime and beyond. And throughout all the episodes we have dropped thus far, we've had such a wide variety of guests, of topics, uh, of stories, of healings, of uh, negative events happening, uh, trauma, recovery, and all this ties back to mental health, which is one of the key pillars of Voices for Voices, why we got started as a an event uh, several years ago, and why we are an organization to this day. Um, it's something that's hard to talk about. It's very personal in nature, and so it's hard. It's hard to talk, to share, to uh, like, remember or recant different times in our lives uh, where we've just had a hard time getting through moments. And and so thank you for all you do, for helping others, for telling your story, for sharing your voice. And one of the ways that uh, we kind of subconsciously uh, mentioned as far as a voice, and that is writing. And so individuals, maybe good writers, are able to tell stories, and maybe that's how, that's how they outlet and share their voice, is through writing, whether that's books, whether those are screenplays for movies, TV shows, novels, uh, plays, what have you, among others. And so we don't want to ever lose sight of that writing is sharing your voice and sharing the voices of others, depending on uh, the writing that you do. Uh, I know with one of my pamphlets, the mental health one that I have, it's called Prescription for a Living. That's what actually occurred. The individual that helped me write that particular piece, uh, that was something that they were and they are good at and they excel at, is the writing. And so she was able to take interviews with me and discussions and put that into written form that flows. And so she was telling my story. So she was sharing my voice, and that is 100% a a way of sharing the voice, whether it's yours or somebody else's. Okay, so let's hop in to this episode. Uh, a lot of us are aware that there was a an earthquake. I believe it was in a part of Russia uh, that occurred, and so that's one of those. Uh, let's see, one of like an act of God. Uh, it's like a natural disaster. When there's you know people being injured and property being damaged, uh, and so these types of things, while they may be rare, uh, that when they do happen, uh, they can be devastating to whoever that event that occurred. So, how does that have anything to do with Voices for Voices? Well, as we uh, announced in our blockbuster episode number 300, we're working uh, together with mythical creatures around the world. And so what that is, it's a Facebook group, Facebook page that you can join. So I would invite you to join it if you haven't. And that's where myth or folklore is shared. So these are, uh, I'm saying like short stories, but they're called folklore. Uh, they're myths. So we start to say, okay, well, this isn't 100% real. Now, in another episode, we're going to talk about that uh, because it's an important topic to think about, where we have different events that have been told to us by people who have experienced these events and these folklores, these myths, uh, and we're going to dive into that and say and question, are we sure they're not real, or are we not? Uh, because it's been our belief up until now that while these myths, these folklores, uh, while there may be some truth to them, uh, could they have more than just a little truth to them? For instance, if an individual sees something and they document it or they share it with us or both, then the question is, was what they saw, was that real or wasn't that real? And we just finished up Comic-Con San Diego a couple weeks ago. And one of the big parts of Comic-Con is dressing up like your favorite superhero, your favorite character. And so when we start to look at, okay, somebody can hide behind a mask, literally, being dressed up. And so is everybody who is dressed up are they nice people or are they less than nice? And what do I mean by that? Uh, I guess we're going to jump into this in this episode as well, which is good because it needs to be talked about. It needs to be shared, and we're gonna obviously get back to talking about uh, this earthquake around Russia and what I mean. TikTok has been on fire with uh, some some posts, and so why don't we just get back to that first, and then we'll jump into the Comic Con, the costumes, folklore, and this. Uh, what we're talking about now, referring back to the earthquake that happened in Russia recently. TikTok has been blowing up with other people posting uh, some information. So this isn't me. This isn't anybody from our team. Uh, these are other people, right? So if you don't know, you open up TikTok and then you have the option of creating something yourself and posting it, or you can look what others have posted. And and so what we found are, let's see, one, two, three instances that I pulled out that we pulled out to talk about, and I'm gonna see what I don't know if it's able to be. No, it's not. Okay. So under the uh, Mr. MR period 42, after this earthquake in Russia, uh, the, so Chile is also another country, but in the waters off of Chile after this earthquake, there was a post by Mr. 42 titled "Mermaids in Chile," hashtag mermaid, hashtag mermaids. And the caption reads, "Could this be a group of mermaids in the water?" So this isn't my post. This isn't anybody else on our team's post. Uh, let me let me see how we can, because I think it's important for y'all to see if you're watching what I'm talking about. So let's go to here. And we're going to change the background a little bit. And okay. And yes, those are those are two ponies um, of my daughters. Uh, but remember, okay, so what I'm going to show you is this TikTok. It's just a screenshot. It says, "Could this be a group of mermaids in the water?" And the person who posted it is under the Mr., which is MR period 42. It says, "Could this be a group of mermaids in the water?" Trying to get at the camera. Okay, let me try this. Look, I think we need a little bit of light, right? Right. Okay. So that's the first post. The second one is posted also on TikTok under the screen name GANGIOY. And this is another photo, and then at the top it says OMFG. We're not going to say those, the words on here, or the WTF that comes after that. So that's at the top, and then at the bottom says pod of mermaids recorded by a drone. So I'm hoping you're able to. So again, this is somebody somebody else, not us, that's posting about this. And the caption is, again, we're not going to say the words, but OMFG, WTF, pot of mermaids recorded by drone, hashtag mermaid. And TikTok just blowing up on this one. And the third one, or we're gonna show, is the screen name News, which is NEWS, then the number 65478. And at the top it says breaking news, earthquake in Russia stirs up mermaids in Chile. I know, like with the screen, it's little, hoping you're able to see it. But even if you're not, I don't think it really, I don't think it matters if you're able to see it or not. I mean, it's helpful to see it, uh, but you can do that, on your own. So you can check all that out and see. And there's many more of these, TikTok videos that are out there. And again, they're just blowing up. I mean, people are liking, sharing, reposting, uh, setting as their favorite, all those things. And and so they're talking about mermaids. And so it comes back to us, Voices for Voices, in conjunction with Mythical Creatures Around the World Facebook uh, group, Facebook page. Please join. It's free to join. There's over 95,000 people that are following and friends. And so there's quite a following that we have. And one of the areas that we do delve into from time to time on our posts are mermaids and sightings that have been seen or shared or have been passed down through the ages. And so when we think about this kind of at current state, we think that mermaids aren't quite 100% real. Uh, and so, yeah, there's, the famous mermaids from movies and that are out there. But from a practical, we want to believe, right? Especially when we have children, and and a mermaid is a character on a show or in a book. Uh, we we wanna we wanna believe, a little bit more, and that's real. So, moreover, we're at this point now where this earthquake hits Russia, and there are sightings, uh, alleged sightings of, a pod, which is a group of mermaids that are swimming in the ocean off the coast of Chile, which is Chile, so not chili that you eat, Chile, the country. Uh, and then the one that we saw it was posted, and again, the three that I tried to show, whether successfully, unsuccessfully, you, you can see on TikTok for yourself how many different posts are out there on this topic. And since it connects so closely with mythical creatures around the world who Voices for Voices is proud to partner with, uh, it kind of really leads us into that Comic Con uh, role play cosplay uh, where you bring together either a group of people or individuals, but at Comic Con that there's a lot of people. So it's a lot of people and having shared interests of liking different characters from different stories, different myths, uh, and one of those is a mermaid and can be a mermaid. And so the thought is, well, okay, well, are they real or are they not real? So what we've seen, again, what's blown up TikTok now here in August, early August of 2025, are these photos, these videos of what by accounts look like, again, a group of mermaids, a pod of mermaids swimming in the ocean off the coast of Chile that looks like one maybe washed up on the shore at a beach in Chile. And so we started to wonder, go, oh, well, are they real? Are they not real? Or is there a little bit of truth to it? Is there none? But as we transition into, the Comic Con and the costumes, the dressing up as a favorite character, favorite superhero, we we think of, okay, so what we're seeing on TikTok off the coast of Chile or on the beach of Chile, uh, could they be could mermaids be real? And so it really gives a little bit of food for thought to anybody, whether you're in the business of like we are, and part of what we're doing, mythical creatures around the world, and sharing folklore from all corners of the globe, all areas, uh, and the mermaid part. It makes us wonder: are these myths, these folklores, are they real or are they not? Could it actually be somebody that's dressed up as one of these characters? Uh, with fin-like ears and green or blue skin, and could it be somebody that's dressed up in a costume? That's where we're just bringing this delight because a lot of times, what our friend David Solomon says, uh, because he studied into this specialty, and he mentions that there are around some of these sightings. A lot of times it's maybe a secluded beach, private property. The sign on the chain says private property, keep out, uh, or the stories and the myths and the legends, get passed down. Like, well, you don't want to go to this area at night or at a certain time because, you know, allegedly people may disappear that maybe they have in the past. And so it keeps most, if not all, the general public away. Because if we hear that, like, well, you know what? I don't want to be anywhere near this. If, it says private property, or I've heard folklore and myths about this area where people disappear, or we have this sighting of, this particular, whether it's a person, mermaid, uh, whatever the sighting is, that, these sightings are happening. And again, these kind of sometimes secluded areas, these private property, or you don't want to go because you don't want to be one of the people that disappears, and I wouldn't want to be one of the ones that disappears either. Uh, so what that does, and what we're setting up is, again, this is speculation, but take it for what it's worth. See if it makes any sense to you. It makes some sense to me, which is why we're covering it. Why I didn't, as we started the episode, I got into it. So I don't want to wait to talk about it. We'll talk more in depth with David um, Solomon on a future episode, uh, because he's able to share a lot more detail than I am. I'm looking at it from the periphery, from how I can process the information. So, okay, so we have these beaches, these secluded areas, these private properties with these signs, keep out. And we have these sightings uh, in one location or another location. And we hear these, stories and myths about people disappear potentially if you go to this area or this beach, either any time of day or a certain time of day. And so people, for the most part, they're like, you know what? Again, I don't want to be anywhere near it. If there's a chance of any disappearance, I don't want that. So I'm not going to go there. And so that's the thought and the feeling of a lot of people. So let's look at things on the other side. Let's just imagine for a moment that the sightings of these mermaids, of these individuals with the green skin or blue skin and fin-like ears, and let's just for a moment think, well, what if somebody's dressing up like that? And maybe, again, maybe allegedly, maybe there are different crimes that are occurring. And if you just think for a moment, again, we're just thinking through this, that if a criminal or a person wants to do some harm, would number one, would being dressed up like and having the makeup as one of these figures, would that be helpful or hurtful to what they're doing? I would argue it would be helpful, because if they're dressed up, they have the makeup and they have these different features, it it takes what they look like normally and turns it into, oh, why this something different. And secondly, a criminal person that's up to no good. They want, I'll say peace and quiet, but they don't want people to find out. Okay. And so they have these signs, these, chains with the signs that, no trespassing, private property, private beach. Uh, these folklores come out about people disappearing if you go to this area. And so what better way for a criminal or person that's up to no good to, again, number one, be in some kind of disguise costume. Uh, and I'll just throw in the clown killer. That was actually a thing. Somebody dressed like a clown, knocked on the door opened up to the house, and somebody is not alive now. So that happened a number of years ago, but that person was in a disguise, and it was at a outside of a residence. So is it really too far-fetched to think that somebody could dress up as one of these characters and they do these, despicable criminal acts and actions in these private areas, a private beach, a private property, uh, because it would be a little bit tougher for people to find out what's actually going on if it's private property, a secluded beach, when there's stories and myths and legends that are told about these areas. So that's how we tie in the earthquake in Russia, the potential sightings of real mermaids off the coast of Chile and on the beach of Chile, to other areas that are secluded, have no trespassing, private property keep off, and people may have seen something in the past of, well, I saw this figure and this is what it looked like. And was there any sound? Or what were the features of that? And so you put all that together, you put the disguise, the costume, you put given the room, which means you're given the space, the private property, the, do not trespass signs, and 99% of people, I'm just guessing, aren't gonna go past there and go, well, okay, this is as far as I can go. So I'm gonna turn around and go the opposite direction. Uh, Same thing being if I've heard story after story, myth after myth, folklore after folklore about a certain area uh, where people disappear, where different sightings of different figures with different characteristics are seen. Uh, that's also going to turn people away and be like, "Wow, that's too spooky for me." So again, I'm not going there. But when we again, as I did, we look at it from the opposite side of a criminal, they're up to no good. They don't want people to find out. So what better ways to have private space, private area to spread different folklores and myths about certain areas, uh, and people disappearing, uh, and they're dressed up in like some of these characters, and so it's really something to think about, and it really ties it together with this earthquake off of in Russia, but off the coast of Chile with what I mean, TikTok, it's just gone nuts with these potential mermaid sightings, and uh, again, these aren't our posts, these aren't our our pictures, our video. These are users from around the world that posted. That's why I thought it was important to share not only the picture, uh, screenshots, but also the screen names, just to show that it's not ours, that it's others. And so while we showed three, there's a lot more than three that come up if you haven't seen already. Uh, if you haven't been on TikTok, I think you can browse publicly um, without having a profile, uh, and so you can check that out, or you can just type it into your search engine. You know, alleged mermaid sightings in waters off of Chile after uh, Russia earthquake, something like that, and you'll find some of these some of these posts. You'll find a lot of them actually, and that's why we're doing this, and it's tied again directly to what we've been sharing. And so we're just going to finish out this episode looking at Comic Con San Diego, and really any Comic Con, really any conference, really any type of party, Halloween here in the United States, dressing up and uh, the adults that sometimes get into the dressing up and the costumes, maybe the same or a little more than what the kids do. Uh, well, we're looking at it from the we're taking an appearance, right? So let's say, look me in the eye if you're watching, if you're listening, just imagine. And so you see me, you've seen pictures of me, you've seen videos of me, voices for voices. Uh, Again, over 300 episodes. So we're uh, we're we're rocking and rolling, and other speaking engagements and other events I've been at. So take what you remember or what you see right now on the screen, and then put different disguises. We can do this usually by putting different filters. We can put like I don't have for the life of me, I can't grow facial hair a whole lot. And when I do, it just looks all scraggly. Uh, but you can put a filter that looks like you have a beard, you have lipstick on if you don't, and all these different things. And while they're cute, funny, yeah, as we do them, they mask what the person really does look like. And so at an event like Comic Con in San Diego, and there's many other events quite like it, very much the same. This just happens to be one of the most recent ones, and so that's why I'm mentioning that. And we had the district attorney from San Diego County, which includes the city of San Diego, uh, Summer Stephan on our show, which again, that episode, I think it was 296. Uh, I really highly recommend watching or listening or both to that episode. I learned so much. And she is, 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 is again, she's trying to help people. She's trying to go after people that are abusing, trafficking, human trafficking, labor trafficking, sexual trafficking, whatever. She's using she used Comic Con in San Diego in her backyard as a spot to say, this activity of trafficking is happening. And she went over some of the stats of last year and that there was a sting operation and what had occurred. And I'm not sure if there was something similar this year. I mean, we'll find out, I guess, when we find out. I mean, we didn't talk about that. It wasn't appropriate. Wasn't really any of my business to ask. And uh, again, that these types of operations, they secret for a reason. And And so you have all these people, they're dressed up, with masks, with um, just think of like your the mascot of your favorite college, university, school, sports team, uh, and have that person in that outfit. Let's say it's a bear suit, right? So you can't see their face, you can't see their arms or legs. You can't, you just see like, oh, there's a brown bear, there's a black bear, a grizzly bear, a polar bear. And so you don't know who it really is, and until they take that off. And so if somebody wants to do bad things, that's that's a potential way is to be dressed up like somebody they're not. So they say, "Oh, it was Superman that took me." Yeah, and it's not until the disguise, the costume's off, the makeup's off, till you see who that person actually really is. So all this really ties together nicely in this episode. And so we just want to, number one, we want to be aware that costumes mask the appearance of anybody, and they could be up to no good to their benefit. Because again, people are like, well, I don't know, like there was someone dressed like Superman, Superwoman, a polar bear, and then all of a sudden, like magic, somebody disappears. And then you think about what I just said about these myths and these folklores about secluded beaches, secluded areas, private properties, uh, and people stay away and they hear stories and so people stay away. And then you have these myths, these folklores that have been seen, been handed down through the years, and could any of these any any of these people who are up to no good, who aren't very nice, could they be the ones that are dressed up like these these characters that have been reported in these folklores? Again, what better way to get away, to not be caught, not to have anybody on your trail, is to have again that open space where nobody's going to be there because it's private property, because again, there's myths and folklore that people disappear if they go here at a certain time, or uh, and you add all that together and you put, okay, a person could be in costume. They're given room and space because people, the general public's not usually going to go past that that sign, that chain with sometimes it's if it's a road, private property, keep off, keep away. Could be a chain blocking the road, and then a sign says, keep all property. Uh, and you put all that together, and we think about what I just said earlier about how there was a murderer that was dressed up like a clown, and I believe it was broad daylight. Either knocked on the door, rang the doorbell, door opens, and either the person that opened the door or somebody within that residence, their life was taken by this individual who was dressed up in costume like a clown. So all this, from the earthquake in Russia, the mermaids off the coast of Chile, to secluded areas, myths, folklore, people seeing figures. Could these people be dressing up? And could they be on this private property and doing some not nice things to people? And then we think about Comic-Con, and people are dressed up like their favorite character, and voila, you have a few things that you have some kind of circumstantial evidence, kind of coming together that at the very least shows that if these occur, then yeah, th th this could really be happening in one way or another, one extreme or another, or I don't know. All I know is we're bringing information. This deals with the public, so it's definitely public safety concern when people are disappearing and people are using things to their advantage, like a private property sign, and they have, I don't, so much space where nobody's going to look, nobody's going to go forward. Uh, People see characters, like with the finned ears and blue skin and what have you, and could those be people up to no good? And then we take it to Comic-Con San Diego, and anything, it doesn't even have to be Comic-Con because that individual that dressed like uh, a clown was not at Comic-Con. They were not there. There wasn't Comic-Con. This was a house, and it was not Comic-Con. And we talk about October here in the United States with Halloween and dressing up, where I remember growing up, and it was a time where and it still can be. I just haven't dressed up over the last several years, but it's a time where you can be that person or that character for that night, and people may know it's you, and people may not know it's you. So a lot to think about. Mermaids, costumes, private property, secluded beaches, sightings, Comic-Con, costume, human trafficking, other nefarious activity. We're just sharing information, and we think it's in the best interest of not just our community, but your community as well, and not only here in the United States, but across the world because there's folklore uh, across the world, and so that's something that doesn't that doesn't change from country to country. Just about everywhere has some folklore tied to it. So thank you for joining us on this action information show, informational show, public safety. Uh, Again, we're not against dressing up for Halloween, against going to Comic-Con, San Diego, or anywhere else. That's not what this is about. This isn't about that. What we're trying to do is we're trying to give information, and we want to have that food for thought to think. And we want to be right. If we see something, we say something, we want to be alert. And so that's why we tie these things together. We tie this event, this earthquake, act of God, and and then we link it all the way up to Comic-Con and uh, the clown, person dressed up as a clown that murdered somebody. So thank you very much. We love you. Thank you for being with us. We'll see you on the next episode. And until next time, please be a voice for you or somebody in need. And please, please, please give us the thumbs up. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. Follow, share, comment. Help us out. And may God bless you. May God bless America. And may God bless you no matter where you're at across the world. Thank you.